Another guy that has made it up, Travis Bazzana, called him up a couple weeks ago, has put together pretty good at bats, but there hasn't been
Yeah.
anything that's really flashed. I mean, his approach is advanced. He puts the bat on the ball, but there's just nothing that really pops.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that might be what he is. The whole story's not written. Messick added velocity at a point where it didn't seem like he was going to, so Bazzana could still make changes. But yeah, I think he might just be a low impact everyday player, which is fine. But you were hoping for more at the first overall pick. And I'll point out the other guy who I think many people, at least not everybody, thought was a potential number one pick in that draft. Charlie Condon is in AAA with the Rockies and not hitting that well. So, at least in terms of what folks on the outside, like myself, thought, neither of the top two guys has really excelled from that draft. It's other picks like JJ Weatherholt and Chase Burns and Nick Kurtz and Connor Griffin was that same draft. Turned out Connor Griffin should have been the pick all along. Who knew? I don't even know that the Guardians were considering him or might have even considered him. But in the case of Bazzana, yeah, the approach is good. He knows the strike zone really well. And unfortunately, I think a lot of it is just the way the swing works. There's just not a lot of impact. It's not going to be a lot of over the fence power. It's not going to be even a high doubles approach. I think he's going to hit for some average. He's going to get on base. He'll play adequate defense at second, and that's kind of it. And it might be a solid regular for a long time, which is fine. It's just probably not what you were hoping for, and the rare opportunity you get to pick.
Yep, with the number one overall pick, yeah, without question. When you look at it,
Uh-oh.
no, you're back. When you look at it, how much do you combine? They signed Bazzana for below slot. You were able to get a couple of young guys that we'll talk about. Does that factor into the way you weigh that? You weigh out the draft that way?
Yes and no. Because you're like the idea of playing the draft as a whole, I always use the word portfolio. It is rare that it's just about one pick. That's true in other sports, right? Where if you just nail the first round pick, that can sort of make up for everything else. But in baseball, you have many picks, and Cleveland very often has multiple picks for various reasons, the competitive balance or the PPI picks. They trade for picks, all of this. It turns out they trade away picks, which they just did in this past week. But they are a team that plays the whole draft as an entire entity, and so they are looking at what is the total value that we got in this draft. And I think at the end of the day, meaning 5 to 10 years from now, we're going to look back and say they had a good draft. That was a good draft class in 2024, given everything they got out of it. However, picking one is an unusual opportunity. The historical value of picking first is even much greater than picking second. The bigger than the difference between any other two picks in the draft. Picking second over third is nice. Picking first over second is huge. And so when you look back, and lots of teams have picked first and not taken the right guys. It's not a specific criticism of Cleveland. It's just that they missed out on an opportunity. There might be a couple of actual superstars coming out of that draft class, and Cleveland, I don't think, got one of them. And so that's what makes it a little hard. Even if some of these other guys we're going to talk about turn out to be really good, there will always be a little of, yeah, but you could have had JJ Weatherholt. You could have had Connor Griffin instead.